Thank you so much for being on the call with me today. I am really excited for this one because, girl, you've had some hella wins with this whole process, and I just love hearing about it. I know you've told me so many things, but this is just going to be like icing on the cake for me. I love it so much, and I'm really excited to get this from you so that you can remember and keep it in your own brain, but also to be able to share this with however many people, decide that this now is the time. Okay? And hopefully your story, which is such a good one, will be that push that puts people like over the edge and say, yes, this is what I need. I don't want to wait any
Mhm.
longer. Okay?
Yes,
So
ma'am.
we're gonna go ahead and get started. So our my first thing for you is like, who are you? What's your name? What's going on? Who are you?
I'm Alicia. I live just outside of Buffalo, New York. I'm a pretty cool chick, and that's probably how I found you because I was like, she's cool. She'll dig me. We'll dig each other.
Heck yes. That was like right off the bat too, girl. Let me tell you. That's
Hmm.
awesome. I think that it definitely was like some divine intervention right there because we definitely clicked, and
Yeah.
I'm really grateful for that
Hmm.
because otherwise this probably wouldn't have gone as
Right.
well as it did.
Right.
So give me your 10,000 foot overview. How was your relationship like before we met? What was happening? What was going on?
We were getting divorced. Like my husband and I both had lawyers. We were ready to go, just plugging through the paperwork and knocking down the checklist of what we had to do to get divorced. And we were trying to be nice to each other to raise our children. And it was an awful time when I found you. I didn't
Yeah,
know where to turn. I felt hopeless.
yeah. That's girl, I felt that.
Hmm.
I watched our call the other day, our very first call, the very first call we ever had. I watched it.
Gross.
I was like, oh, I could feel the pain that you were in, and it was so hard to watch because like
Hmm.
now we've been through so many weeks together, and I'm just like, oh, yes, it's
Hmm.
just been such a visceral turnaround, legit like 180. So like you guys are middle of divorce, literally middle of divorce proceedings,
Hmm.
and like what led up to that point? Like what were the problems? Like what was the issue? Like what was happening that brought you guys there?
Lack of real communication. The communication that we did have was very volatile and toxic, and lots of screaming and swearing, and just both being stubborn and standing our ground and not wanting to see the other person's perspective or see the bullshit that we ourselves brought into this.
Yeah, I hear that. So with this with this type of problem, like what made you say yes to me particularly instead of like grabbing another coach or having to like go through a bunch of them? Because a lot of people are like, oh, I'm looking into a bunch of different things. We're going to do therapy or blah, blah, blah. Like, what made you make that jump?
Well, we had already done therapy and couples therapy and marriage therapy and all that fun stuff and individual therapy, and it didn't solve our problems. And when I saw like the things you were posting on Instagram, like those spoke to me. And it was more about fixing myself than it was the relationship. Because if I didn't fix it with myself first, then I was going to carry it into any other relationship I went into.
Yeah,
I'm getting
girl.
all emotional again,
I know I could see it in your face. I'm like, oh, girl, yes.
right? My
Oh,
face is getting cryable, as Aubrey calls it.
your face is getting cryable. Is that what she says?
Yeah.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
that's so cute.
Uh-huh.
Like I said earlier, I was watching our call from the other day, and right towards the end, when I'm letting you know like how much this is and what the investment is, you definitely, in true Alicia fashion, you were like, hard sell, huh? And that
Yep.
just, what's that?
I said, yep, that's me.
Yep. And so that got me thinking, like, what was there anything that like almost made you not sign up? Was there anything that like almost made you say no?
It was really just the money. Like I wanted to dive in that second, but I was like, oh my God, I don't know if I can tack on this expense with all the other shit I was racking up at the moment. That was
Okay.
it.
Okay. I mean, that's fair. So, like, with that said, knowing that like money was your only objection, what made you pull the trigger? What made you get over that?
When you let me have a payment plan.
Fair.
And the fact that I really jived with you and I'm like, all right, this is gonna work. It's her.
Yeah. Awesome. I love that. Because, yeah, I
Mhm.
mean, money's a big issue with a lot of people, and they
Yeah.
honestly, it's almost like they value the money more than they value the relationship that they're trying to save. And
Hmm.
it sounds to me like you had your values where they needed to be at that moment for you.
Yeah. I mean, investing in myself is invaluable. So had to happen.
Yeah, girl. I love that. So now we're going to move into like what's been your biggest set of takeaways so far from working together?
My amount of emotional regulation that has progressed, I think, is outstanding. I'm not just flying off the cuff or blurting out nonsense. I'm actually taking the time to stop and think of something not so nasty to respond with. And, my typical fashion was just, "Rawr." And now it's like, meow.
I love that. That's such a good comparison, like that before and after, because I think it really does that really does shine through. Like I remember being on our very first calls, and you have shown such growth in that area of like what's worth saying and when it's worth being like, maybe I should rethink that
Yeah.
kind of thing. Yeah, for sure. So with that said, what do you think have been the biggest shifts that you've made in your relationship aside from that piece right there?
Um, I mean, besides that, just really recognizing my nonsense that I was bringing to the relationship. There's a lot of people when they're having relationship problems are like, well, he did this and he did that and she said this, and I'm like, oh wait, maybe I'm the problem. Maybe I'm the problem, just sometimes, but maybe I'm the problem. And recognizing like my own toxic nonsense and being able to use that pause to be like, that's going to hurt if I say that. Let's try to just bite my tongue for a minute and find a nicer way to convey my feelings so that this doesn't turn into a fighting match.
Yeah, I love that. And how was that for you to start recognizing your piece of this where you know that you're not making the best decision here or that what you've done in the past has been hurtful to your husband? Like how was it kind of, meeting yourself at that space?
Oh, that's hard. That's hard to look yourself in the mirror and be like, oops, oops, daisy, I'm the asshole. Um, but also very freeing once you recognize it because then you're like, I don't want to be that person.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Freeing is
Mhm.
such a good word for it because you're
Yeah.
absolutely right. It might hurt, but then you're like, oh, wait, now I have the power.
Yeah.
Now I get to do something about it and it's not in somebody else's hands.
Amen.
Yeah, girl. Awesome.
Yeah, girl.
You give me chills every single time we talk. I swear to God, it does not
Oh,
matter.
because I'm a lunatic.
So, like, where is your relationship now that you've made all these shifts and things have started to take shape the way you want? What does it look like now?
It's amazing. I think once my husband realized how much I was working on myself, he knew he was going to have to work on himself too to match my level. Once he decided that this is what he wanted to do, he wanted to work it out. So he tells me all the time, like, I love how much you're working on yourself. I love all the changes you're making. And I just think he knows automatically, like, step it up to that level too, so that we're both on our A game.
I love the fact that you went first,
Mm-hmm.
and he saw that and he appreciated it so much that he realized like, oh wait, it's my turn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's exactly the model. I love it. Perfect. So like now that you guys are starting to level up together, basically, what tangible things have you noticed? Like, is your communication clear? Like your emotional regulation? I know you mentioned it earlier. Like, what kind of skills have you noticed that are actually getting you what you want in your relationship now?
Oh, our communication is like a complete 180. We can actually talk to each other without getting upset and screaming. And even, when we do have those overheated moments, the resolution comes so much quicker. Like before, it'd be like, if we got into a fight, we could be like, screw you and not talk to each other for days. And now it's like 20 minutes and we're like, hey, I didn't mean to yell at you. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Just got out of control. I love you. Let's talk about it. And then
Yeah.
we talk it out. And it's crazy because I mean, him and I have been together for years. And this is just like mind blowing that we can actually talk to each other without screaming and swearing.
Yeah. That's honestly, that's a really good point to make. So, how long have you been together?
14 years, 10 of which we've been married.
Okay, so you've been together for 14 years, 10 years married, and you've been building, or you had been building those toxic habits for 14 years,
Mm-hmm.
and you were still able to make the shift and have a beautiful, healthy relationship.
Yep,
I love that.
absolutely. Me too.
Right? Like,
Nobody more than me. Woohoo!
right? Like you guys are getting such a fantastic like life
Yeah.
because of this, because you were open to it. So that leads me to my next question, which is like, what kind of internal shifts did you make? Because you said earlier in the call, you're like, I needed to make things happen within me. And when I noticed that I needed to make changes, that's when things started to turn around in my relationship. So, what was it that really started to shift for you? Was it like self-criticism? Was it fear of judgment? Was it perfectionism? Like, what was it?
Maybe a combination of all of that. The self-judgment, the like honest to God thought, like he hates me. Like it was like the negative, like internal talk. Like anytime he did something wrong, it wasn't just because oops, he made a mistake. I instantly went to like, he hates me. Why else would he do that? It's because he hates me. And I like, we had a session the one time when you're like, he doesn't really hate you and you know that. And I'm like, I know. And you're like, then stop saying it. And I did. And it's like that came out of my brain vocabulary. And it's like, yeah, once you take away some of your negative thoughts, then you have room to grow your happy thoughts. That was so cheesy.
But it's so true. Like,
It is.
like honestly, you saying that, I was like, that's me. Like I've
Yeah.
said that to her.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Yeah.
And but it's so good. And you notice that it's 100% true.
Mm-hmm.
Without that negative thought of he hates me, you're like, oh, wait, actually, I have room to understand that it's not all about me.
Mm-hmm.
So I love the fact that you made that recognition and that you actually listened to what was happening in our sessions and you applied it. That's huge. You
Mm-hmm.
applied what it was that we talked about. And I cannot tell you how paramount that is for the success of long-lasting success.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So your experience in general, like through the whole process, me as a coach, the group coaching, all of it, because that was instated like halfway through your sessions.
Mm-hmm.
So how has your experience been in general through the process?
Great. Absolutely great. Obviously loved our one-on-one time, loved the added in group calls. Those were always fun and to hear different perspectives from other people who joined in. I think like you being able to hear what I'm saying and know that there's like some feeling behind that you have to drag out of me. And then we're able to actually unpack something. I think that was probably like the biggest like takeaway in general. It's like, you're like, wait a second. So when you say that, how do you feel? And I'm like, and you're like, there we go. We're unpacking that one. I'm like, okay, here we go.
Yeah, girl. And see, like, do you feel as if now that you've had the experience of me doing that with you, like over and over and over again, do you feel as if you have gained that skill for yourself that
Oh, yeah.
now you can kind of take a look and be like, what's actually happening there?
Yep. Absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely.
that's awesome. Have you noticed yourself already doing that, like real time?
Um, yeah, I mean, there's definitely things where I'm like, "Ugh," and I'm like, what's really happening? Like, why am I mad about this? Because I don't think I'm really mad about the dishes. I'm mad because I'm not getting attention. I'm like a little puppy and I need my belly rubs. Like all the
Yeah.
time. All the time. And I'm like, oh, I mean, there's days where I'm like, oh, this is my life partner. This is who I have to live with. And I'm like, you're not mad because he left 4 sweatshirts on the couch and didn't see any of them. You're mad because he's playing video games too much and you didn't get any attention today. Like, totally, totally recognize it, see it. I'm like, what is the feeling behind this?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh man, I love
So that's a
that.
good tool. Yeah. Mhm.
Oh, and it's so true. It's never about the dishes.
Right. Exactly.
So good. Okay. So we're gonna get real basic here. Scale of 1 to 10. How satisfied are you?
10.
Yes.
Mhm.
That's good. I mean, that's not even for me. The fact that you are at a 10 satisfied, that
Mhm.
tells me that you have the success that you were looking for and that we talked about way, way
For
back.
sure. Yeah.
That,
I just feel like I'm so much more calm. I mean, since we've started this program, the 12 weeks ago or whatever, like, how many more things have I taken on in my life? Like Girl Scouts, basketball, fundraisers, you name it. And I feel like my stress level should be up here. And I'm like way down here. I'm like, it's fine. We'll handle it. It's cool. I'm not like running around like a raging lunatic anymore because it's like I have such like control over my negative thoughts and my crazy emotions that I'm just like, we got this.
oh, I am just so freaking happy for you. Like,
Mhm.
legit. Because, like I said, I remember, girl. I
Right?
remember it was
You and me
not
both.
this way. Oh my God. Okay, so now with that said, if someone was considering working with me, what would you tell them?
Hands down, 100% try it out. I think you have this special instinct or gift of like digging deeper. And I don't know if it's your teaching background and you had to deal with all those little monsters, but like you just know. You just know. Like all those times where I'm like bitching about something and you're like, let's unpack that one because I feel like there's something there. And then the next thing I know, I'm bawling and I'm like, there was something there that I didn't even know. Hands down, you're worth your weight in gold, girl.
Thank you.
Hmm.
That's
You
so
can't
good.
cry with me.
Girl, let me tell you, there's you can't see it because the lighting here. I swear I'm cursed with terrible lighting wherever I go. The mist. The mist, I love. So my last thing is there anything else you wanted to add? Anything else you want to tell people about your experience? Anything that happened in your 12 weeks? Anything like that?
Yeah, like don't be afraid to make the change. You're worth it. You're worth investing time in yourself. And once you start your glow up, then other people want to level up to be with you. Like I went from the verge of divorce, like literally papers being signed, to my husband flying across the country to surprise me on a vacation because he didn't want me to be there without him.
Girl, I need you to tell this story. I need it from top to bottom, okay? Like start to finish. Give it to
Oh,
me.
I'm like, stop it. It's so emotional. Um, yeah, I mean, I had originally planned the vacation for us was for our 10-year wedding anniversary, and then shit just went south earlier in the year. And I had never been to Vegas before. So I was like, you know what? I hope you don't mind. I'm still going to go to Vegas without you. And he's like, cool, have fun, do you. So I recruited my sister and I was like, girl, we're going to Vegas. We're going to live it up. And we were there, my sister and I. And at this point, like, you know, Matt and I had already rekindled and everything was going great at home. But it had only been just about a month that we had rekindled. And, you know, I was like, I'm still going to Vegas with my sister. Like, I hope you're not mad. Like, she already booked everything. He's like, yeah, it's fine. I told you I didn't want to go. Just go. So then I'm in Vegas. I was doing a tour all day long, saw some of like the greatest things of my life, like saw the Hoover Dam, saw the Grand Canyon, just super cool shit. And I'm pooped and I'm walking into the hotel and I'm like 10 steps ahead of my sister, just trying to book it back to the room because I'm exhausted. And I hear, hey, you, in a man's voice. And it didn't even like click to me. And I just turned around because I'm like, who's talking? Like they sounded so close and like a casino. Like I was like, who? And there he was, the cute little monster of mine. And I was like, no, what are you doing here? I was so shocked. I'm crying. My sister's crying. I was like, you knew, you planned this. So my sister was in cahoots with him. Dude flew across the country, not even on a direct flight. That's how I know he loves me.
Oh, geez.
He's traveling. And he had a connecting flight. And he had to sit in his hotel room the whole day because we had that tour booked. So we'd gotten there the night before and was sitting in his hotel room all day just waiting for this moment. And it was so great. It was just so great. I mean, he tried to get a video of me, and I wish he did because I would have loved to have seen the look on my face because I was probably like, just, oh my God. I mean, you know, we have this lovely audio clip of me squealing like a pig. Oh my God! Like, I was just so shocked. But that's the change. That's from literally signing divorce papers to flying across the country because he didn't want me to be alone on our anniversary. He didn't want to have that bad memory of our 10-year anniversary, us not being in Vegas together. So he made it work. He made it there.
I love that story so much. I can't.
You and me both.
Handle it. Can't handle it. I know, right? Like here I am over here, just like I love that story, and it's just like this is Alicia's life. This is your life. You're literally like a fucking Hallmark movie,
right?
Okay.
Exactly. You think Hallmark would let me drop some F-bombs? I'll make one. It's the R-rated Hallmark version.
That'd be hilarious.
I don't drink hot cocoa in mine. I drink margaritas.
Oh man, do you know how many more people would watch that? Like,
yeah.
That's hilarious. I can't. I am so impressed with how well you executed everything we went through. That is the lesson to take home here, is the fact that it wasn't just what we talked about, it was your implementation. Because we can talk until we're blue in the face.
Right.
But you actually putting it into action is really where the magic happens.